often people feel like embarrassed to be like, oh, I'm only doing the 100 at Treka, or I'm only in the age cats. But at the same time, like, you're still going out of your comfort zone. You're still putting yourself in the training. You're still putting yourself in the same exact course that these professionals are. That's really cool. Find your hype crew. And so those are the people who you can trust to, one, celebrate your wins, and also to help you pick you back up, and also are going to accept you at any level that you are. When thinking about starting a community or starting something, you just got to do it. It's fail early, fail often. You will learn a lot. Just being grateful is like, thank you, legs, for like continuing to move forward, because you easily could stop right now and you're not. And finding those little things that, like, I'm not going to be first, but like, I'm really grateful that I get to be out here enjoying this and doing this on a weekend, and that I'm healthy and I'm finishing in one piece and being like, yeah, incredible. We often think of, okay, the person who is standing on stage or who's willing to give a big presentation or, broad open shoulders, or the person who makes decisive decisions, like, that's the confident leader. It's like, well, actually, perhaps a confident leader is somebody who is confident enough in their leadership to listen to their team.
In your TED Talk
Yeah.
from, I think, last summer.
It was in May.
In May, you said that confidence has a branding problem.
Mm-hmm.
And we are often taught to see confidence as loud, outgoing, and perfect, when in reality, it's often quiet and internal.
Mm-hmm.
That reframing is incredibly empowering, especially for people who have been told that they're not confident enough.
Yeah.
Can you unpack what you meant by that and how we start redefining confidence in a healthier way?
The story that I share in my TEDx is that, like, I remember a mom frantically calling me on a weekend about the fact that her daughter didn't want it. Like, can you convince my daughter to sign up for skateboarding? It's like, well, maybe, but like, why? Like, what? Yeah. One, why do I have to convince her? Like, why? She's like, well, she really wants to do the art and science class. Like, okay, well, why can't we do that? Well, her dad and I just always played sports, and her dad and I, see how confident. She's just not very confident. It's like, okay, well, what does she like to do? It's like, well, she just likes to read. Like, okay, well, is she comfortable reading? Is she happy reading? And it's like, yeah, but like, we want her to get out there. And on one aspect, I totally understand that parents want to create space and access for their kids to try different things and see how it feels. And I totally respect that. But at the same time, I could tell that the mom had kind of equated this outgoing and extroverted personality that her and her husband had was confident, whereas like the introverted and quieter version of the daughter was not. She felt that she wasn't confident. But actually, you can be perfectly confident being introverted, or perfectly confident not speaking up or not jumping on a stage. It's just she's confident in her own self to sit and read and make friends through reading. Like, that's great. So that's also what we want to do, is also celebrate that. And we also talk about that a lot in our programs as well, is that, like, how do you invite other personalities in? So maybe an introvert needed to be asked a question as opposed to an extrovert who just throws the answer out. So how do you create opportunities for different types of voices to be heard and seen, whether that's sometimes we answer through writing, or sometimes we answer by telling somebody else in private and that person speaks for us, or vice versa. And saying that, like, all of these voices are valid and there is no right or wrong way to be confident. As long as you are accepting yourself and be true to yourself, and of course be a kind human in the confidence. But that also then trickles up to the leadership that we often see, right? We often think of, okay, the person who is standing on stage or who's willing to give a big presentation or, broad open shoulders, or the person who makes decisive decisions, like, that's the confident leader. It's like, well, actually, perhaps a confident leader is somebody who is confident enough in their leadership to listen to their team, to say, like, hey, what do we actually need here? And then at the end of the day, I'm going to make a decision for the good creator of the company and everybody, but I'm going to take other voices in. And so we also want to really coach that with the kids as well, and help them rewrite, which we hope will then help trickle up and rewrite how society views confidence and views leadership, and create space for different types of leaders, which I think is incredibly important.
It is. And also with confidence, I mean, there's so many other words that links back to confidence.
Yeah.
Like, and one of them I can think of is also courage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like, you just because you aren't, one thing we talk about is like comfort zones, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the ways you can grow your confidence is getting out of your comfort zone. but my comfort zone and your comfort zone, depending on the topic, will be wildly different.
Yeah.
So just because I feel very good about standing on stage and rattling off whatever, like I feel very confident about that, doesn't mean that I feel super confident dropping, I don't know, down a big ski slope or something, you know? But just if I go on a bunny hill or something like that, that's already out of my comfort zone. And I'm already getting confidence by just going down that hill and being celebrated.
Yeah.
And I think that's something, going back to one of the questions about cycling and what stereotypes I wish we could erase, is that like I race the H-Cats. I'm a very proud amateur. Like that, that's what I say. It's like, oh, you're pro. It's like, no, I am a professional amateur. I'm a semi-professional amateur. I started graveling. I only started racing last year. I started graveling 2 years ago. And often people feel like embarrassed to be like, oh, I'm only doing the 100 at Tracka, or I'm only in the H-Cats. And like, I'm just as guilty of that too. But at the same time, like, you're still going out of your comfort zone. You're still putting yourself in the training. You're still putting yourself in the same exact course that these professionals are. That's really cool. And so that's something that I like, when we talk about confidence and resilience and courage, it's, everybody is on their own journey.
Yeah. How do you personally tell the difference between comfort zone or the growth zone and panic zone?
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, there's a lot of things that you can feel in your body. So like, of course, your panic zone is usually like you may notice that all of a sudden you start getting really tight, or like, and that maybe happens in your core, and not in like I'm bracing myself core, but in like a, oh shit kind of way. Maybe your skin gets really cold, or maybe you start noticing that your thoughts are racing, or you're not really able to focus. Whereas in your like comfort zone, you're like, this is chill. I can do this. You may even check out. So sometimes your comfort zone is a little dangerous because you can just check out.
Yeah.
I'm notorious for just like being on my road bike and riding off the road because I forget that I'm riding my bike. But your panic zone is also not the best place to be. You can start to feel it. You can feel like this is not the place I need to be right now. And most of the time your growth is not going to happen in your panic zone because you are doing it at a fight or flight response. So even if you get through it, usually your body's like, that was not a fun experience. I'd rather not do that again. Whereas if you're in your, like, let's say your growth zone, you're more likely to, you're stretching yourself, but you come out and you're feeling, hey, I'm okay. I survived. That was tough, but we did it, And like, maybe I need a break between the next time I do it, but like, I could do it again.
Yeah.
So, there's ways that you can kind of really tap into yourself and feel. And it's tough, especially if you're somebody who's just nervous in general, who tends to be anxious. Like, you're trying to think like, okay, is this something I really need to pay attention to? Or is it something that's just like, woof, I'm a little jittery today. Yeah. And I also, that's, something we coach with the kids and coach the coaches of like, if we see somebody who's getting up to the top of a ramp and just all of a sudden eyes are wide and just like, at like, okay, take them out, get them out of the position they're in, change your environment, and then try again tomorrow. And that's also something you can always do, is that like, you don't have to make massive steps every single time you go out, whether it's on the bike or, I don't know, whatever gets you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Because let's say if someone's ready to train their courage in life, could be speaking in front of a big crowd, at work, at school, or on the bike. Could be a technical descent or just riding loose gravel, cornering. What would you challenge them to do this week?
I would first start by telling them to find their hype crew. Just as much as I'm a hype person, I can only be as big of a hype person I am because I have an incredible amount of hype of crew behind me.
Yeah.
Find your hype crew. And so those are the people who you can trust to, one, celebrate your wins, and also to help you pick you back up. And also are going to accept you at any level that you are. Yeah. Right. And so if you're like, okay, today team, whoever your team is, cabal or crew or friend, I am going to go and turn right in some loose gravel. At like a relatively decent speed. You want those people to be like, hell yeah, you got this, or like, you can totally do this. And then if you come back and you're like, yep, I crashed. They're like, great, cool. like celebrate you for that. Good job for trying. Yeah. So having this hype crew is so incredibly important because it really, everybody feels a little confidence. And also studies have shown that like when you hype others up, you also like get a little confidence boost as well.
Yeah.
Which is also why I'm out there cheering on while I'm racing, because it helps me keep mentally sharp. But yeah, I think that's the first step, is find your hype crew. And that could be your friend or a coach or just somebody who believes in you. Because sometimes it's really hard, especially when you're stretching yourself, to believe in yourself in that moment. And your hype crew is there to believe in you when you don't.
Right. Yeah. And it's just one building block at a time. Every time you hear from your hype crew that you're good, you can do it, you did well today.
Yeah.
It's just one little step further towards the final goal.
Absolutely.
And I remember in Denmark that sometimes we're also being pushed down a little and not talking too loud about how good we are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Actually, when I was on the national team, we were told by the mental coach that every day we should just give ourselves a clap on the shoulder and just find one thing that day that you did better. It could be you rode 10 kilometers longer, it could be you did 1 minute longer in your hardest intervals you did, or that you cleaned your bike or your chain afterward. It's like those little things.
Absolutely. It one little thing, and also gratitude goes a long way. So, I'm on the course yesterday. I was like, okay, hell yeah, I've made it further than I've ever made it before on a second day. This is my first stage race. I've made it. I'm coming home. I have 20K left, 40K left, whatever it is. And that's incredible. And then also just being grateful. I was like, thank you, legs, for like continuing to move forward. Because you easily could stop right now and you're not. And thank you. And finding those little things that like, I'm not going to be first, but like, I'm really grateful that I get to be out here enjoying this and doing this on a weekend and that I'm healthy and I'm hopefully, I still have 20K, but I'm hopefully going to finish in one piece. And then finishing in one piece and being like, incredible. Like that was a feat of human nature. Even at amateur level, it's a feat of human nature.
So this is what happens in your head doing a hard ride, or, when things start getting uncomfortable.
Now, I mean, I say this now, like I've definitely had some I call them mental mechanicals, because it was coined by my fiance, who I don't think realized how brilliant he was when he said it, but that's what it is, right? Like especially in gravel, like you can be thrown out of race for so many reasons. Usually it's a mechanical. It's usually like, a slash tire or through axle or whatever. But the mental mechanicals are the ones that are really hard to blame things on, because especially in sports, and especially I would say in male-dominated sports, which cycling is, it's a lot of you push through. You push through no matter what. And that's an important thing to try. But actually, like, it also takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
And eventually you can burn out that way if you're constantly having to push through. And so I've now researched and done a lot of like different techniques that will help me get through. Gratitude is definitely one of them. It's a proven way to like continue pushing, help you get out of your body. They also say like comparison is the theft of joy, but it's also the theft of confidence.
It is.
So anytime you're comparing yourself to somebody else, like, you're just tired. You're just tearing yourself down, right? So how do you kind of ignore it and just say like, that sucks that she's winning right now.
Yeah.
But this is what's happening, because I'm going to keep going, but like, this is the truth.
Yeah.
And try to find those little things that you're like, oh, that felt really good, know? So, but it's taken me a while to get there. Like I had a race in August and that one with panic attacks, and I couldn't get out of it. And I cried at the finish line just to be like that. Yeah, it was just mentally one of the hardest things I've done. Not because it was physically hard, but because mentally it was just exhausting.
Yeah.
And so I've really, like I said, done a lot of research that would help Project Fearless, but also help myself of like things that I can do to get over that mental switch and accept that like, just finishing these things is a feat of human nature.
It is.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Because you started with gravel, not on the road.
Yeah, I've never raced road. Road is terrifying.
No. Do you have one bike?
Now I do, basically. Yeah. So I started road it'll be 5 years this summer, and it just like road, like riding, learning how to ride and being with my friends, stuff like that. Really loved it. Really loved just I didn't think I would like endurance sports. I'd never done endurance sports before. Really enjoyed it. Then slowly realized, I can get better at this quite quickly. Found a really good group of core women that I love to ride with and push each other. And then 2 years ago, we had our first, or they convinced me to go on a gravel ride. My first ride was 100K. I was like, immediately like, well, I love this. And then I was, a couple months later at an event and saw some women racing and immediately was like, oh, I want to do that. Like, wait a second. And started working with a coach in August of 2024. And then last year was my first year racing and never having any like endurance experience at all or anything like that, and really taste tested my way through UCI and gravel or series across 5 different races to find out, what am I good at? Not turning and loose gravel, but like other stuff. So, that's kind of a quick synopsis of my cycling journey. Yeah.
Did you, as a beginner coming into the sport, did you feel welcomed at the beginning, or was it difficult to really find your place within the cycling space and between people?
Yeah, I have to say I was incredibly fortunate because I've heard, not horror stories, but I've definitely heard people who've not had those good spaces I've had. I think I got in because there was a cafe, which is unfortunately no longer in Amsterdam anymore, but En Route Cycling Cafe. And they opened up and they wanted to do monthly charity rides. So they would have a social ride where everybody donates €5 and the €5 would go towards a charity. So one day I got a call from one of this guy who I'd never met before, was like, hey, do you all accept donations? And I was like, hell yeah, we do. As long as you're not church or government, we will take your money. And so he was like, cool, we're going to do this ride. I was like, okay, cool. And I remember thinking like, I should probably like show up to like shake hands, kiss babies and stuff. And so, but I went there and I met them and they were just so cool and so non-pretentious and just really people who really loved cycling. And I was like, oh, okay, like maybe I'll give this a try, and instantly fell in love. 9 months later, I was actually leading their beginners courses out of there because I'm really good at coaching beginners. I'm really good at coaching. Like, I can probably coach a beginner how to do anything. Because a lot of it's just confidence and just body repetition. So I can probably teach you to do anything at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I loved that. And I loved seeing how people also fell in love with the bike and also felt welcomed. And then they started growing their own little circles out. And then when I advanced and got better, then I found Nowhere Near Women. And they were like my reach goal. I saw this like really cool pack of like, they pushed each other every week. They went really fast. And that was my first experience. And then I basically stuck with them mostly because I just felt like this is super welcoming and safe and comfy. Yeah. And I'd been to a couple group rides where I didn't feel safe, like outside of, whether it's different shops or led by different people, and I didn't feel safe, both actually like physically, like nobody signaled stuff. Like it was just a bunch of guys pushing as hard as they could. And I was in the Netherlands. So sometimes those guys were really freaking tall and their handlebars are like over my bars and didn't know how to hold on. So I felt very grateful that actually when I came into a couple spaces that were super welcoming and encouraging, because I know that it's not always the case.
It's not always the case. No, definitely not. What shifts when you ride in a women-centered space versus maybe a mix?
Yeah, I would say, I think, and I'm sure this happens with guys who ride in a guy-centered space, is that like what we can talk about is like much more open, right? And I think...
Is it less about pushing each other? More about the social?
Both. Like I remember the first time I rode with Northern Women and I was holding on for dear fucking life. Like I was like, and I didn't sleep that night because I was so hopped up on adrenaline. You would have thought I'd just done a massive crit race, but it was just for the first time I'd never pushed 34 in a group before.
Yeah.
So no, they push hard, and that was what we also set ourselves apart on, is that like it's not just because it's a women's group doesn't mean it's inclusive to all paces, and that's a really important thing. So no, I think it's more of the understanding of what it took to be there, like depending on where you're showing up as, like if you are a pro or semi-pro or somebody who just really pushes themselves training wise, with the dedication it takes, the struggles, you also know about, you can ask questions and without feeling, maybe insecure that you don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
And I think that just always feels safer when you know the group. And I think women tend to feel safer amongst women in general. So like that's one of the cool things about No Ordinary Women, is that we have this WhatsApp group of like 100 members, and people drop in all sorts of questions. Like I dropped in the other day, I was like, how do people get rid of really stinky cycling shoes? And some of them were like, my shoes don't stink. And then half of them were like, oh, I put mine in the freezer, or I do this, or I do that. Wow. Yeah. It turns out the freezer works.
The freezer works?
Yeah, you take your
I gotta try that myself.
I know. It's not forever, and I'm certainly not after this weekend. But so like those kind of things. Or like, hey, who's tried this bib? How do you feel about the chamois? Or like, what have you experienced on, what if you get your period and you're on an ultra race? Yeah. Like, how do you handle that? Or and so I think there's just something that is, of course, like a great neutralizer when you can speak about things that have shared experience on.
Yeah. So gravel markets itself as being inclusive. Mm-hmm. Does it live up to that in your experience? Racing is one thing, another is meeting up for social rides and...
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think from a social aspect, it does. I think it's still a male-dominated sport, right? It started with road cycling, and then that spawned out to 1,000 other things. So it's still a male-dominated sport. Like, you look at the pro field yesterday, it was, I forget how many men showed up in the elite field versus 50 in the women's field, right? And then that even got smaller and smaller. So... But even from a social setting, you go to social rides, the gravel, and again, I think it is still more male-dominated, depending on also where you are. So I think in Girona, there's a lot more women who gravel because of what they have access to. But I think it's slowly changing. In the Netherlands, you see it's becoming more popular as a sport and definitely feels more welcoming. But yeah, I think it's more of an inclusive, it can be a more inclusive sport. And it definitely is a different type of person. And I think also with gravel, there's a little more, because of the origin of it, is a little more rough and tumble. So it's like, oh, you're on a steel frame and you have flat pedals with that clip in the middle, like sick, or like, oh, you are going gravel bike packing for 5 days through, I don't know, wherever.
Awesome. Yeah.
Great. That's super cool. And so, or you're wearing a tack tee versus a like super tight aero fit, like sick, like whatever freak what you feel. And I think that's a little more accepted in the gravel sphere than in the road sphere.
So Merida, you touched on it at the beginning of the episode, and you have spoken openly about living with anxiety and ADHD. Mm-hmm. How do those experiences influence the way you approach endurance sport and especially high pressure moments? Yeah,
I think it's a hard one. Like, I do think ADHD helps me in gravel, and also why in road I check out too fast. Because gravel, you really have to tap in. Like, you are on all the time, because even if it looks like a flat road, there's probably a pothole there. So you have to just be constantly on. And that really helps me get into the flow. Because if something is too same, that's when everything just kind of like checks out of your brain and you're thinking about 1,000 other things that don't actually matter. Now, I'm still racing and still thinking about 1,000 other things, but like, it's quieter and it's more focused on the ground and navigating and figuring things out and puzzling, which I love. Like, that's what I love, the more technical stuff, because you're puzzling always. Yeah. Whether you even know it or not, your body is puzzling how to get through this. And the anxiety, it's an anxiety depressive disorder, and I've been on and off medication since I was 18. So it's something that I've just kind of reconciled that, like, I'm missing a little bit of chemicals in my brain that kind of numb or don't numb the noise. And so it's also something that I've become more aware of and more vocal on, and that's really helped me helped me normalize it to myself. So I also speak about it openly because I know, there's more people like me who go through this, or maybe they don't go through it for their whole lives. Maybe you go through and going through it in a moment, and it could help them normalize this. It's funny, endurance sports actually, especially cycling and running, have been shown to help with anxiety and depression because there's something about this like unilateral movement, this movement of going forward. So I do know that cycling actually really does help me with that and helps me get back into my body. at the same time, I also have to be really aware of when I'm not in my body, because that can be really dangerous, right? So there's like a couple weeks ago, I was really going through it. I was like, I couldn't even, especially when my anxiety is like really ripping through me, I can't feel my legs. Like I just feel locked off. So that's not a really good time to like go down a massive gravel descent, because you're not really fully in control, because you're probably thinking about 1,000 other things and your heart rate's spiking, and now you're worried about your heart rate spiking and am I breathing enough? So it's just like this like, so those are times that I really tap into myself and say like, okay, what do I need right now? Yeah, maybe I have to skip training, or maybe I have to do something else, or maybe I have to sit on the indoor and it's freaking beautiful outside. Yeah. And that's something that like, my partner, I can talk with him about, but he's like, oh, I think for you, just get outside, and yeah, sometimes, but also sometimes that's not going to work. Yeah. So I really need to figure out what's going to work for me right now, and accepting that that's going to look different depending on the day, depending on how I feel, situation. Depending on the moment. Exactly. Yeah. The other thing that's annoying with anxiety is that it's not always being nervous about something. So someone's like, oh, what sparked it? And you're like, don't know. Yeah. Like, wish I did. Yeah. This is just what's happening right now. And it's probably 1,000 things. And it's probably social media. It's probably like all of these things that are combining and just combusting at the moment. So it's also, accepting that and managing that, and sitting with it and thinking about it and feeling it, and writing it down, whether that's a public writing it down, which I found really helpful. Or finding some confidants who help listen and kind of help don't necessarily solve the problem, because there's usually not a problem to solve, but kind of just talk things through with you is really nice. And also like, with cycling, it's also going back to why are you out there? For you, is it because you want to win the race, and are you putting too much pressure on yourself, or is it actually like you want to go out and have fun, and maybe that should be the goal now, because we have to figure out how to strip those things back. And that's also what my coach and I worked on before this race, because like 2 weeks ago I was super anxious, like just everything felt like a threat, like my body was just on high alert at all times, I was then terrified of taking that into race day and how that would feel, because then of course I'm not going to race my best, I'm definitely not going to be technical because I'm not paying attention or in tune with my body. So taking it back of like, why are you here? What's the bigger goal? Okay, the bigger goal is finishing. Yeah. The second big goal is finishing and being happy. Yeah. Actually, that's the first goal. Let's be that. And then it's like, so breaking those things down. And I do think that's in my field of being a semi-professional amateur is like a real blessing, is the fact that like the partners I'm working with are not partners because they are expecting podiums. Hilariously, I did get third GC this weekend. You did. Congratulations on that. Which is I also heard that you missed out on podium ceremony. I was so mad. I was so sad I missed out on podium. But I got my medal. But yeah, so like, but the partners I work with this year, like they all believe in me for me and for what I'm wanting to do and help make space for more amateur women. And maybe that's just talking about my experiences. And I feel really grateful in that, because I don't have to have the pressure of, oh, if I don't make podium this many times a year, my contract's not going to get re-signed. Yeah. So I don't envy people who are in that kind of high pressure space, because I'm not sure I would thrive that way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Merida, we also have a mutual friend in Miles Baker. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was like, who is this friend? Could be anybody. Yes. Miles. Yeah. So, legend. With Castelli, we already started a partnership with the Cycling Culture Club and Miles and the amazing things that he's doing. Yeah. So, much of your work from Project Fearless to No Ordinary Women is about building spaces where people feel like they belong. Yeah. As No Ordinary Women becomes a featured community within CCC. Yeah. What do you hope people understand about what you're building? Yeah, so I do have to give credit, because I'm now only like partly building with No Ordinary Women now, since I've moved away. Like it's I do want to make sure the credit goes to Jen and Aster and Greta, who are holding down the fort in the Netherlands and creating some big stuff. But I was, on the co-leading team with them for 2 years, and I give a lot of credit to them when it comes to like who I am as a cyclist now. But I am helping them. So like I'm still helping from afar. Like we're planning some cool things for November for some graveling. But they're gonna go up on Cycling Culture Club, and sometimes I help Miles with the website and the blog, and so we're all kind of like intertwined, right? Because I also feature, I also write for the blog with Cycling Culture Club and Miles. I interviewed him for his own podcast the other week, which is really fun. And yeah, now they have this space that we can put up for profiles. So we're working with the team back in the Netherlands with No Ordinary Women to get it up there. And I think a lot of it would also be inspiring others to take that step. And whether, like, if you don't have your own version of No Ordinary Women, create it where you are. Like, look what's missing and create that space. And, you know, the founder story of that is that, like, Aster and Emmy started No Ordinary Women with just 2 of them sometimes, you know, showing up every week. Okay, every Wednesday they're going to show up. And if 3 people show up, awesome. If 4 people show up, and then like this, sometimes during the high season, we would have like 20 riders with us, which is quite a lot of women for Amsterdam to show up on one ride on a Wednesday evening.
Oh, yeah.
And so sometimes you just have to start it. And I mean, definitely with Project Fearless, that's how I feel, is you just have to start it. Like, you build it and they will come. And I think with that community, and I think what Miles is creating is this, like, I kind of view it as like this map of like all these really cool activists or creators in their own right in the cycling community all over the world. We actually tonight have our first meetup. So we have a big Zoom call with all the Cycling Culture Club members, not all, but whoever can make it from all over the world. Because we have people all over the world now. And so I think Miles is hoping to create this platform that, you know, if you're somebody who doesn't normally see themselves in cycling, whether that's because of your gender, your skin color, your ethnicity, where you're from, what language you speak, disability or not, like, you can go on to this and find a club for you, or be inspired by people who've done the same. Okay, there's not a club for me. I'm going to create one because I'm sure there are other people like me who want a space for them. Yeah, so it's really cool how it all intertwines.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, we all at Castelli have been very excited about this project.
Yeah.
We're designing the kit for the Culture Cycling Club.
Super
and
cool.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Really cool. I can't wait to see it. Yeah.
Are there any tips that you have learned about designing community internationally? And how can platforms like CCC apply that to a global level?
Ooh.
Any tips, advice you can give Miles and the rest of the team?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just is sharing your story. Like, that was something that you start, you know, when I was starting Project Fearless, like, I didn't have anything to prove. I had nothing to be like, look at this thing that I've done. It was like, I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah.
And it's going to look like probably like this, you know? And I remember you just kind of, and that's also where your hype crew comes in. Like, find those safe people that you can tell you're like, this is what I want to do, and have them be like, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because not everybody's going to think what you're doing is really cool. Yeah. And that's okay. So, you know, I remember, like, to be honest, my partner at the time when I was starting Project Fearless did not get Project Fearless, did not understand why this space was needed, did not understand, stuff that I was saying, like, like, girls are told to be careful more than boys. That's not true. It's like, you don't know, you're not a fucking girl. No. Like, first off, why are you discrediting me? But, like, so find the people who, I'm no longer with that person, but much more supportive, fearless partner now. But find people who are going to listen to your idea and be like, yeah, that's cool, you should do it. How can I help? You know, and I think, and Miles has done that. And I think others, when thinking about starting a community or starting something, you just got to do it. It's fail early, fail often. You will learn a lot.
Yeah.
Even if you do fail, you know, even if your whole idea goes up and then goes down in flames, you're going to learn a lot. Whether you want to then apply that a lot to then another thing, or you're just going to be like, wow, that was incredible. I actually probably can consult on this now. I'm going to go do that. You never know. So just try it. Listen to the feedback of the community, but also know that, not all ideas are good ideas. So, you know, trust your core, trust your story and your mission. And also, I find it's funny, I was just giving another founder some advice that somebody had given me when I was first starting Project Fearless, because when you're starting this thing that's for impact, you often feel somebody has to be the mouthpiece for it, right? And so But again, you're starting something and you need money, you need resources, you need people's time for free, you need space, all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, who am I to ask for this? I remember feeling quite like insecure about all this stuff I was going to ask for. And I remember my friend at the time, she said, Merida, okay, I want you to close your eyes and think of, if you get this stuff, right? Like, let's say you get enough sewing machines to coach your first class or enough skateboards. Think of who that's going to impact. Just like visualize those 12 girls. She's like, and they're standing with you. You're like, okay. Now what you're creating is going to impact beyond those 12 girls.
Yeah.
Each of those girls is probably going to impact at least one other girl or one other kid to be a kinder human, right? Or to create empathy, because that doubles, right? Yeah. Now think of the parents that you're going to impact, which ended up being a second form of impact that I was not expecting. Project Fearless that has happened, right? And then think about the coaches and think about how that just gets bigger. Yeah. Just like, so when you are going to ask for donations, time, whatever, it's not Merida Miller, hey, can you give me your money? It's like, I'm just here because we're going to do this. These are all the people you're asking for. And that really helped me kind of get out of my zone, because definitely wasn't paying myself for the first 3 years. So I definitely wasn't taking their money, but it was more of like, yeah, what is that money going towards? And why is that important? And who is that going to impact? And then like that massive, because it can be quite lonely at the beginning.
It can be quite lonely, yeah. Also for maybe someone listening to this episode in a city without no ordinary women, how can platforms like CCC help them feel less alone, you think?
Yeah, I think just listening and knowing that others are doing it. Others have created something, has been successful. I also think, with the platform that CCC has, is that you can go on there and see all the different contributors. So you can find somebody who maybe you relate to a bit more, and we're all public figures in the sense that we've put ourselves out there to be contributors. I'm going to go ahead and say that every one of the Cycling Culture Club members and contributors would gladly answer a DM if somebody said like, hey, I'm thinking of starting this in, I don't know, wherever I am. What advice would you give? Or like, how did you start it? Or something like that. And you have to be careful, of course, because people can take a lot of your time. And but I'm usually pretty open if I have the capacity to answer, to jump on a call, to do a quick back and forth brainstorm, or to give some like, oh, have you checked these people out, or something like this. Like,
that's beautiful. Yeah,
it's important to connect.
It's very important. Yeah, and also on the website that you can find a picture of all ambassadors, and there's the profile. That's a short story.
Yeah, your intro story, exactly. So you already feel a little bit connected to this person, and like. Yeah, I think everybody on the Cycling Culture Club contributor list is an ambassador in their own community and is a spokesperson in their own community and a spokesperson for different reasons.
Yeah.
And there's some incredibly inspiring people on there, and some people who've done something that is like now internationally known, and some people have done something who's just microly known. Yeah. Whatever, you're changing your corner of the world, and that's really cool.
That is really cool, yeah. Yeah. Merida, you got a beautiful jersey.
Yes, I do.
Sitting here, laying here next to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Merida, before you were lining up at races, you were shaping performance apparel at the highest level as designer, or was design director?
No, I was...
At Under Armour?
The advanced concept designer for the innovation apparel team at Under Armour.
That was a long title.
I know, exactly. Exactly. And so I just noticed a really amazing detail that I need to call out on this jersey. It's beautiful. So I worked with, like I said, I went to school for fashion design. I thought my focus was going to be in ski and snowboarding clothing. That was like all I wanted to do. And worked at Under Armour in their outdoor team for I think like 6 months. And then the innovation team like curtain opened up and I was like, you're coming over here. And then, I worked on everything from sports bras to boxer briefs to some clothing for robots for NASA to movies, to the Avengers movies to all types of athletes, really cool stuff. So yeah, that was a lot of puzzling and problem solving and learning through doing.
Yeah. So then when Castelli approached you to design your innovative ultimate SOG race day kit, what things came to your mind first? Was it function, storytelling, the silhouette, the color, brand codes, everything? Tell me about the design of your jersey, and for those people not watching this on YouTube, we need to explain them what we see, because it is beautiful.
What do you see? It's
lots
everything.
of colors.
It's everything. It's all the colors. Yeah, I wanted to put something on that when I wore it, I felt confident and I felt seen, and I felt that somebody saw this jersey and was like, I know exactly who that person is, and whether they were going to like it or not.
Yeah.
I thought it was incredibly important to, have, pink has become a really important color to me. I remember when I was little, like I avoided anything pink because pink actually was too girly. Yeah. And in my head, girly was frivolous and annoying and stupid, which then I came out realizing later, like how sad was it that as a girl, I wanted to be anti-girly because society told me that girly was frivolous.
Bit surprising to hear you tell this, think about what you do today, but maybe had a connection.
Yeah, I think it wasn't until, I don't know, maybe college or something that I started owning pink. I dyed my hair pink. I really got into the neon pink. And then it wasn't until later that I realized why I had been anti-pink. And it was because I had really thought that being girly, like a girly girl, was lame. Right. And it was like, wow, that's so funny. The word girl is literally doubled in the name girly girl. And it in my head was this bad thing. And now I'm incredibly proud to be a girly girl because girls can be whatever they want.
Yeah.
And whatever day. So I also wanted something that reflected that. And I think you see I love a race checkered. So there's the race checkered, but it's in pink, and then like a neon pink, and then a softer pink. And then you have some wild zebra print. Then you have this massive splash of mint green, which is my favorite color besides pink.
I love it.
Mint green.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And then there's this whole side of lightning bolts on one sleeve. Like a very 80s kind of, 90s vibe of lightning bolts. We have Hype Crew written on the sleeve because, I always am the biggest Hype Crew, but also grateful for my Hype Crew. And then of course on my right sleeve, I have one of the Project Fearless. This is actually a sticker. Well, you can't see it, but this graphic is it's a heart it's a flaming heart with the F, the Project Fearless F in it. And we made these stickers. Our designer at Project Fearless, Iris, she made these stickers. So I have a whole bunch of stickers. And I put one on the front of my bike, and now I have on my sleeve. And I just think it was freaking badass. I think it looks fearless. It's cool. And the F can stand for whatever. Fearless, fun, funky, freak what you feel. And Iris, I was talking to her, and I was like, oh, I put your heart on my sleeve. I put your heart on my sleeve. And she's like, oh, is that because you race with your heart on your sleeve? And I was like, you're
nice.
Very clever.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
But now I do feel that way. I feel like, I race with my heart on my sleeve no matter what that is that day. So it could be that I'm really struggling or because I'm feeling great or whatever. And I also race for, all the girls and women out there who currently maybe don't dare, but they totally could. And then in the back, which you actually can't see, but in the back center pocket, which you can see if you open it up. So I have this sign, because at Project Fearless, we make a lot of signs for whatever reason. And I have this great sign that was on a piece of recycled cardboard, and it was written by one of the girls, and it says, "Be yourself," and the Y is backwards. And I'm pretty sure that was unintentional, right? And so we've put that into the back pocket, and actually, when you take it off, you can see that it says "Be yourself."
Be yourself. I love it.
But so in the pocket, if you look,
you can see
it's "Be yourself"
from the inside out.
There.
Yeah.
And then also in the back collar, it says "Proud of you, stay weird." And that's we also do this amazing tradition at Project Fearless called anonymous notes of support. And everybody just gets a Post-it note and writes whatever they would want to hear.
Yeah.
They don't know who this is going to go to, but they write it on there. And sometimes it's really deep. And sometimes it's whatever you shows up today, we love you, or you are enough. And sometimes it's just stay weird, or you got this, and a drawing of a melting ice cream. You don't know what's happening, but it's just it
great. Is. Yeah. A lot of motivating words. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's funny. I was talking to a friend. I was like, oh, what do I pick? Stay weird or proud of you? She's like, proud you, because I say to everybody, I'm so proud of you. She's like, that one's really you, but also Stay Weird is great. And I feel like Stay Weird really works with the masses. And I was like, yeah, they're both going on there. There's enough room.
Nice.
It's just turned out brilliantly. Like
It's beautiful.
I loved working with the Piero, the Castelli designer. Like I came with a very strong point of view. So at first I felt a bit bad because I was like, yeah, I really just want what I'm drawing here. But he really helped nail down the colors, and that was something hard to do. Like I didn't have the color codes that he had. So on his screen versus my screen, but he really nailed it and made everything
He did. It's beautiful.
So beautiful and vibrant and very, it launched this week, and I've had a lot of people say, and what I wanted to say this details, I didn't realize that they used this like stunning pink for the overlock machine, and which I hadn't noticed, which is amazing. So even inside it's beautiful. But I've had a lot of people comment like, that is the most Merida jersey I've ever seen.
Wow.
And it was like, that's exactly it, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not designing it for the masses, although I hope everybody loves it and wants to feel confident and fun, but it's not going to be for everybody. And so this makes me feel like a superhuman. Like it's just amazing. It fits amazing. Like it looks professional, but also in like a hilarious way. And I think I have to say, like this weekend racing, one of the things that the Gravel Earth Series did differently was that they had the women elite go first, followed by women age cats, and then an hour later the men went out. And that was amazing because not only did it mean that everybody had an equal race, like the women elite mostly finished before the men came through. Everybody had like their own race. I got to feel like I was racing with women as opposed to me and 500 HCAT men. But it also meant that multiple SOG riders were going to pass me along the course, right?
Yeah.
So that was the best part, is I have this very visible jersey. and all the different SOG riders are kind of like in different packs as well in the men's group. So Piotr comes down first. He's like, baby! And I'm like, yeah! As I'm riding. And then a little bit later, I hear Ben, Merida, whoop, whoop, and then there's Didi and Gustav and Pau. And it's just like, it was,
That's the hype group.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
I was like, I got off and I could have fucking cried. I was like, this was the coolest thing ever, because and that's where hype is contagious, because they know that I'm going to hype them back up. And then like more people who I knew in the men's peloton were also just starting to like yell and stuff. And it was so fun. Like this is what it should be about. This is also, I love that. And the only thing is I wish that they would send me out first, kind of like a rabbit with the greyhounds, is that like, so then the women's would also pass me. So then I could also cheer them on, because I felt a little bad I couldn't cheer Caitlin on this race, but at the beginning when I saw her. But no, I loved it. And I think that's what's also great is this jersey is so visible. So it's not for the, you will be seen in it. But it also is a jersey that sees you, in the sense that it's unique. It's made for whatever day you show up on.
It is. And everything you just described, that just describes you, and all the little details that cheers you up and cheers, up everyone.
Yeah.
Also, if people want to get their hands on such a jersey one day, who knows?
Who knows? Maybe there'll be a drop that you can get.
Yeah, but it's going to be difficult then for next year. Coming up with something to beat.
I was already thinking about that last night. I was like, oh my god, how am I going to do this? I'm sure there will be something new inspired by a Project Fearless kid that will come through that I'll need to throw on there. But who knows, like maybe if we do a podcast at the end of the beginning of next year, like where will I be then, and what am I focusing on, and maybe like am I still racing HCATs, or am I doing ultras, or maybe I'm not racing at all, and maybe I'm just into gravel for a different reason. Like you never know.
Yeah. Coming back to what you just said, maybe I'm just gonna go a little bit too far down the road now. But in 20 years from now, what does success look like for you? Not for the brand, not for the movement, but for you.
Oh God, I don't know. I'll start crying. It's a really good one. Yeah, I think for me, like, and this has always been my mission statement, is I just want to help others and be happy. It's a quite simple one. but that's what drives me. And being happy, although I am a hype crew, isn't always easy, but I am happiest when I'm helping others. So I who knows, like maybe it's in graveling, maybe it's with Project Fearless, or maybe it's something I haven't even we don't know. Couldn't start it. But yeah, that's been my mission statement for as long as I can remember, and that's really what drives me. And so I think success will be feeling like, yeah, I left a legacy of people feeling loved and seen exactly as they are. Maybe a world that has a little more hype that just goes around, a contagious hype, like we're all just cheering each other up every day. Yeah, and I think that would be what success looks like for me, and those around me are also happy and healthy.
Yeah, Merida, you've been on a ton of podcasts. Yeah. That's why I'm so honored to have you also on the Castelli here today. Public speaker, TED Talk, and more. When people hear your name, they think Project Fearless, empowerment, gravel racing, hype culture.
Yeah.
But right now, in this exact season of your life, how would you describe yourself?
Yeah, I'm also figuring that out. I'm in I'm in that next chapter. Like I feel like this weekend was really the page turned to my next chapter of Merida. And I'm really excited for it. Like I've just 7 years, January marks 7 years of being Project Fearless founder, and I've transitioned from CEO and now to CVO, which is Chief Vision Officer. I've gone down in my hours to focus on a very specific part of Project Fearless, but then also create space for me to go after gravel racing and creating whatever comes from that.
Yeah.
So right now I'm definitely on that next turn of the chapter, and I felt like this weekend really was the first start. It's really cool.
A very great start.
Yeah.
Good vibe.
It's a good vibe. It was amazing. Yeah. We had great weather, really good energy on the course. Really, I felt really strong mentally. I've been working a lot on that because as somebody who is, self-proclaimed professional hype girl, but also who coaches confidence and helps people find their confidence, it doesn't mean that I'm confident 24/7. And I definitely have my own internal battles, and I have anxiety depressive disorder, so managing that, and you never know when it's going to come up, and so I was just so grateful that the work that I've been putting in, which ironically is work that I put in to help Project Fearless and write the programs, also has been helping to help me rewrite how I face this new sport.
Yeah. So with Project Fearless, should we go back to the beginning?
Yeah.
What was happening in your life when the idea for Project Fearless first appeared? Take me back there.
Yeah. So my background is people are like, oh, what did you go to school for? It's not to start a nonprofit. I actually went to school for fashion design. I focused on ski and snowboarding clothing. Like that was my dream. Started working at Under Armour's Innovation Lab. And then I was doing that I did that for 7.5 years. But I'd also gotten to a place where I was kind of unhappy with what I was doing. I felt like I'm not really making an impact. I liked that I got to work with athletes. I got to work with materials. I got to sew, but I really missed the impact. So I actually did some deep diving about, okay, well, when was I my happiest? When I was working, and I say like working in quotations. And that was actually, I used to coach ski and snowboarding for adaptive athletes. So whether they're paraplegic or multiple sclerosis, people who had disabilities to ski and snowboard with adaptive equipment. And that was when I was really my happiest and my best. And I was like, okay, how do I capture what was happening there and that ripple effect impact? At the same time, I was, going to all these networking events for women. And I kept hearing women saying like, oh, I'm too scared to ask for a raise, or how do I get ahead in my career, even though the leadership is not the leader that I want to be, or I feel like I have to put on a mask to show up, or I'm 40 and I don't want to be an accountant anymore. I just want to be a painter. And I realized that like, okay, there's all this focus on women empowerment and getting women equally paid, as there should be. And still a lot of work to be done, but also these questions these women had for themselves were questions that I luckily felt I never faced.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in an environment that was very much like, fail early and fail often, which is what ended up making me into my innovation career, which also ended in showing up and starting this nonprofit. Was just like, you'll figure it out. Like, you have it, whatever's within you to figure it out. And I thought, why don't we do what we say we would? It's like, what would you tell your younger self? So that was when I kind of took all these different concepts of like coaching, ripple effect impact, being in the work, supporting women, but from a different age and growing up. And that's kind of how Project Fearless came together. And one thing that was really important to me was also the creating a space for every type of girl or gender fluid kid or somebody who can identify with the girl experience. So not just the sporty kids or not just this girls in tech and girls in STEM, because every year it seems like we're focusing on another trend of a girl, right? It's like, oh, girls in tech is really important. Oh, girls in STEM is really important. Oh, girls in sports. And it's actually like, okay, but yes, those are important, but how do we create a space for all of those type of girls to feel like they're not pigeonholed? Because at that age, we should just be playing and figuring things out. So we offer skateboarding. We also offer bouldering, but we also offer sustainable sewing and art and activism. And the idea is that they come to the space and feel secure and supported to fail and try. And then they go and, I don't know, maybe next time they go to kickboxing, even though they actually don't like usually moving their bodies. So it's that kind of environment that helps them build their confidence.
So it was kind of a natural transition.
Yeah.
Because what I hear you say now, I mean, you talk about especially 3 things that make your best self, like empowering people, working with your hands.
Yeah.
And creating impact.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I love, like, Professional Hype Girl has just followed me around because I just love cheering people on. Like, even this weekend, like.
I saw some photos. One did you post on your Instagram? You're just shouting.
Yeah. Like, I love cheering people on and I want others to cheer for each other. And like, so I had a comment this weekend that was like, well, you clearly didn't race that hard because you were still cheering for everybody. I was like, or you could say that the only reason I finished was because I was cheering for people.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think it's infectious.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I love it. And then also, so the empowerment comes in many forms, whether it's me cheering you on or me just catching when you fall. I need to be in the work. I'm not somebody who can. That's how I learn is through doing, and especially working in my old life with athletes. Like, I need to understand and watch them in their sport to understand how I can make their lives better through clothing.
Yeah.
Like that. So, yeah.
So when talking about confidence and resilience, those are also 2 words that are thrown around easily, I think. Mm-hmm. What does real confidence actually looks like in a, let's say, 12-year-old?
Yeah. I think a lot of times she's still figuring it out, because for me, confidence is just being yourself and being accepting of yourself, which is a hard thing to do at any age. It's especially hard to do at that age when you're also like kind of opening your eyes to where you are in society and opening your eyes to understanding, oh, like I'm starting to get older. I need my parents, but I don't want to be seen with my parents. And also feeling the pressures of being told what you should look like, do, what's cool, what's not cool. So trying to give them a space where they can come in and decide on that day who they are and see that they've been supported by somebody who's like, I only just met you, but I think you're great. I think that's really cool that you're into anime. I'm not, but like, tell me about it. And that idea is pretty powerful, and that helps people feel seen, and that gives them confidence to continue being themselves and also to continue letting others be themselves as well.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you think society teaches young kids to shrink themselves physically, or is it, well, definitely also the social media is definitely not helping? Yeah.
I think primarily girls for sure get told, we know that girls tend to get diagnosed with ADHD and autism a lot later in life purely because they've been told to mask it you know, whereas boys are allowed to be rowdy, and of course this is all changing, but like it's still there. And girls are, you know, still meant to, don't say that, you know, that's not super polite. But if a boy says it, it's like, he's just being a boy. And equally we hear that from the girls themselves, right? Where it's like, if a girl, I remember talking at Project Fearless about confidence, and one of the girls was like, yeah, but like, I don't want to, you know, basically like toot my own horn because I don't want to be looked at as conceited or like too self-centered. And it's like, okay, but that's different. You know, self-centered means you're not caring about anybody else. But if you're celebrating yourself because you're really freaking proud that you just did that, you should celebrate that.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think I know I still have moments like that where I'm like, ooh, like maybe I have too much, you know, like should I really be celebrating this? And so, yeah, to come back to that, like I do think girls can convince each other that they need to shrink, which is a shame.
It is a shame, yeah. And then in today's world where young kids spend a lot more time online than they actually do going out there and being active.
Yeah.
How do things like riding bikes, skateboarding, all the other fun stuff that you make the girls do help disrupt the narratives or everything else that is happening around them?
Yeah. I think one thing we forget is that, like, because everybody's like, oh, the kids are online. This is not what you were saying, but I've had people say like, oh my God, kids are just always online. You know, they're always on. It's their problem. It's like, we created that problem.
Right. Yeah.
We've created this narrative because we've created social media, and we ourselves as adults are on social media. One of the things that we kind of forget is that kids, because they are on social media, they are also on email. Like 12-year-olds are getting emails from their teachers. They're on WhatsApp. They're on, you know, messages. They're on Instagram. They're on TikTok. Some of them even have a LinkedIn at 13 or 16. And it's like, these kids have no break. Even as an adult, I get overwhelmed by the constant messages and notifications that I inflict on myself. Yeah. And you're a 13-year-old brain developing, you cannot escape. So at Project Fearless, we really say like, okay, look, put your phones away. This is like 2 hours of no phone time. And this isn't, yes, every once in a while they'll be like, oh, can I take a picture of this, you know, whatever I made or whatever. It's like, yeah, of course. But like, it's really just to get offline a little bit and reconnect with each other in a different way. And because social media, it's not going away. WhatsApp and digital connection is not going away. But how do we build social skills that are offline is really important. Yeah. And that's one of the things that we can do. And I think that's one of the beauties about team sports. And that's also why when I was building Project Fearless, I wanted to take the like ethos and values of what happens in a team sport and apply it to whatever of our programs. So that even if the girl's not the sporty girl or doesn't like going on the football pitch, if she's in science, in one of our science and art classes, she still feels like she's part of a team. She learns communication. She learns speaking up for herself. She learns supporting each other's fails and wins. Yeah. Even in a different, not on the football pitch, but in a science classroom setting.
Yeah. That's super important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's all these studies showing that, like, I don't know the exact numbers, but about girls who play sports are more likely to be in leadership positions later on in life, which is amazing. But it's like, okay, but what if she doesn't like sports? Yeah. That's also okay too. And that's also like, how do we, it's not just her kicking a ball that's giving her leadership skills. No. Like, what is it about being on a team or bouldering or whatever it is? What is it about that creates leadership skills? And so, we do research on it. We do a lot of reading and thinking and observing and understanding and playing and picking things apart to create the methodology that we do in our courses. So it's not just skateboarding for 2 hours. It's also conversations about communication or repairing friendships or, comfort zones and things like this.
How many girls do you have at the moment?
Well, it depends per season. So we run on, we do 4 seasons a year. Each are 8 weeks long. We're in Amsterdam and in Rotterdam now. It's around, I think, 190 to 200 girls every season.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
And how many people or staff?
Also big. So I don't know right off the top of my head, but we have a lot of like part-time, almost full-time, couple part-timers, freelancers, and then we also have so we have our core operations team. Then we have a couple of volunteers behind the scenes who are helping with social media and copy and the behind the scenes stuff. And then we have coaches, and every season we have could have up to 65 to 70 coaches.
Wow.
Which is also crazy. Yeah. So we have, our coaches, managers who are recruiting, hiring, and they actually have their big training session of the year next weekend to get ready for spring season.
Busy.
Yeah. It's a big thing.
But it's also important that, you're enough people or staff to also observe the girls, read the behaviors, help them. And like you said, it makes no sense to push a person or kid into doing something, a sport or drawing something, if he or she in this case, doesn't like it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we always encourage, because that's one thing is the kids sign up for 8 weeks, right, of skateboarding. And 8 weeks is a good block of time where you can still build developmental skills, but you can also decide actually 8 weeks, I don't want to go to skateboarding anymore. It's but you tried it, you saw it, you didn't like it. Okay. But we may have kids who come to skateboarding and then realize, I don't actually like skateboarding, but I really like Project Fearless.
Yeah.
So we have, or vice versa, of I've actually skilled everybody in my Project Fearless course, but I'm going to come back to Project Fearless course because I just like the environment that's created here. Yeah. And so we also have that kind of, returning system, which is really cool.
You also make the girls ride bikes as part of it, or?
Not yet. TBD.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do like that. So, I'm coming from, as I told you before, we started recording from also a cycling background.
Yeah.
And when I grew up, I remember, before I started racing, I was 9 years old, but even before, we were just, zigzagging through cones. We would do small jumps or, it was just about playing.
Yeah.
We never really got any serious before 12 years old, really. It was just about playing and just having fun on the bike. And I think, or what I've experienced myself, there's so many fun aspects, both for, boys and girls to have a fun time on the bike, and almost every kid owns a bike.
Absolutely. So in the Netherlands, almost everybody knows how to ride, which is really good.
It's part of the culture.
Yeah, at least city bikes. It's funny, I do have some of our older girls or teen girls who've come back as teen coaches who are they've started seeing me cycling. Oh my God, it's amazing what you're doing. It's super cool. Some of them have gotten into cycling on their own. We are, in the works of creating something. Yeah. Potentially, which is awesome. Our new COO, actually, Alice, is amazing. And her and I met through cycling, which is really ironic that then she came on the team. And so we both know how amazing it feels, and also agreed, it doesn't have to be for competition, just for what you love.
Yeah. You just did your first race of the season, correct?
Yeah, Santa Fe, 2 days.
How did it go?
Wild. It was wild. It was really fun. I first started the season. Saturday, as we probably all saw, was absolutely a mud, water, river crossing adventure, which actually worked really well in my favor because I prefer the more technical stuff. I'm not the best climber yet. And so for me, when there's technical stuff or sand or anything that makes people second guess, that's when I can get ahead.
Yeah.
So that went really well. And then Sunday also went, really well. I'd never done a 2-day race, so I wasn't sure how I was going to hold up physically or mentally, and both went really good. So
that's good to hear.
Very happy. Yeah.
But you did feel a little tired last night when you got...
Last night I did. I was so tired I couldn't sleep. And today I feel very hungover, even though I had no alcohol. I just feel like I was hit by a bus. So take it easy.
It's a good pain to have.
Exactly. No, it's a feeling human, so it's very nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Merida, we got a little tradition here on the show.
Okay. We always include a rapid fire round of questions to every episode.
So I'm just going to jump straight into it if you're ready.
Okay.
What scares you more, public speaking or steep, loose descent?
Ooh. Both of those get me too excited. Steep, loose descent.
Okay.
Even though I love that. But yeah, okay. That was tough.
A word you wish every 12-year-old girl believed about herself.
Yeah, you're enough.
Like that. Mm-hmm. The hardest part of building Project Fearless.
The work is never done.
Similarities between gravel riding skateboarding and snowboarding?
You're gonna fall a lot.
Most difficult trick you learned when starting skateboarding? Making an ollie, a kick turn, kick flip, or rocky to fakie?
Considering I can't do two of those, I will say an ollie.
Okay. When you first got into gravel, what challenged you most? Clipping in and out under pressure, holding your line in a group, cornering in loose gravel, riding technical single tracks, or pacing long solo efforts?
Whoa. Cornering.
Cornering?
Still cornering.
I mean, it's loose.
All of the above, but cornering. To my right. I can't go right. I can turn left, but not right.
Not right.
Yeah.
And you always hope there's a small grass section.
Exactly. Yeah. Yesterday's final, there's this like harsh, sharp turn, and I just go all the way into the right to then make this very awkward finish, but we made it.
Perfect. Like a square turn.
Exactly.
Nice. A moment on the bike that changed you?
Yeah. I was racing in Sweden, and I just had a complete mental stressor, or I don't know what to call it, like mental blow up, and literally had to coach myself off multiple panic attacks while on the bike. And it wasn't because it was scary descent. It was just the itty bitty shitty committee in my head telling me how itty bitty and shitty I was. And yeah, I was literally, if anybody was around me, I was literally growling to myself, Merida, no, and just to try to get myself to stop the panic attack that was coming. So I learned a lot about myself that day.
Yeah. One cycling stereotype you would love to delete forever?
Ooh. Just because you put a race number on means that you have to race for podium. You can also put a race number on to survive, to complete, to enjoy, to just feel good about getting out there.
That is so true. When you hear the word fearless, what's the first feeling that comes up?
Being yourself.
Last one, and you have to finish this phrase.
Okay.
Confidence is built by?
I mean, confidence is built by doing, in and out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, it is. No matter in life or in sports or whatever you do.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is also a really good way to end up this episode.
Yeah.
With some very beautiful and true words. And
thanks.
As you've said many times already, between being successful, courage, confidence. I mean, we've been throwing around a lot of words today, but they're all so important for all of us. But at the same time, we also just need to keep in mind, just keep things easy, simple, in our lives, and cheer each other up.
Yeah.
And always give a smile to the person standing next to you. You might not even know the person, but who knows?
You don't know what they're going through.
No.
And that's the easiest thing you can do during a race, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're out there, you don't know how hard they've had it. You don't know how what they took to get to that point, because it's not easy. It's not easy just to show up.
No, it's not.
And so just being grateful and proud and of each other and of yourself that you've shown up.
Yeah.
However much that took.
Merida, thank you so much for coming here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It was awesome, and I can't wait for a second episode.
Yeah. The next
Down the
chapter,
road.
let's see. Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
And I will see you at the race. I know that you're also preparing for the Trucker, is that right?
Yeah, and the hills. So I'll be in Italy.
You'll be coming to the hills. Yeah. Awesome. End of March. Yeah. And you're also going to get a company tour.
Yes. Very excited for that.
We get to hang more. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Looking forward for that.
Cool. Me too.
Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.